Hello, it's Jennifer. It's April 24th, Monday, and today it's pretty cool outside in the 70s all day. So I've had some time to get some gardening in. I thought I'd go ahead and give the April tour of my garden. So starting in the greenhouse, I'm growing second chance tomatoes in here. So I have the orange banana, which just started sprouting yesterday, the gladiator tomato, and over here are the big mama tomato. In here are some spinach and some succession planting for some cabbages. And also I'm trying to grow some creeping thyme, but that hasn't sprouted yet and I'm not sure that it will. I've also got second chance delicata squash, so I bought seeds from a different supplier and these actually sprouted, so I'm very happy with that. And then I've got some brown cherries and pepinos over here, just in case the ones that I planted earlier die out. They seem to be pretty weak. The alpine strawberries here never sprouted. I'll have to try sprouting those in the house. They seem to be rather finicky. I'm also trying to get some garlic chive going, which for whatever reason I've been having a hard time with garlic chive. So I tried growing it out here in the greenhouse and it's doing okay so far. Just outside the greenhouse, I've been recently mulching my tomatoes, my in-ground tomatoes, so getting them ready for the heat. Next week it's supposed to be in the 80s and in the 90s, so I want to make sure that the soil stays moist and cool so the tomatoes don't burn up or stop producing. So as you can see on my other videos, the tomatoes are fine, they're producing. These other tomatoes are growing. They're all staked now, except for this one. That one's not staked yet. And then moving over here are my peppers. The little one back there is a new pepper. It's a bell pepper. These other ones are shishito peppers. They are starting to bloom. And then there's some various peppers in here. And looks like some shishito. There's a poblano, another bell. Over here are my beans, and recently I just gave these some fish emulsion and Epsom salts to try to green them up and to give them a boost. They seem to be responding. This one's nice and is greening up, and the top leaves on here are greening up. These are my strawberries. So we've been playing with the sprinklers lately and installing drip irrigation and during the testing, and also just running the sprinklers now. So the plants have been getting a lot of water, which has caused the strawberries to take off. Very surprised at how quickly they just started growing with some water. In here are some of my peppers, and they're doing pretty well. I also planted some strawberries that should start producing next year. I didn't let the bees at them because I didn't want them wasting their time flowering, so I want them to put down some roots, and then hopefully next year we'll have another bucket of strawberries. I don't know if these peppers will last through the winter, so I kind of don't consider them permanent. Over here is my patty pan squash, and it's kind of small, and I've been considering cutting off the flowers, but yeah, I'll leave it be. And here's the little gem lettuce. And my scotch bonnet, outside scotch bonnet, isn't doing well. None of my Chinense peppers did well outside, so I'm going to replant those again inside. Again, the strawberry carpet. This is my jalapeno plant, and it's doing pretty well. It's chewing on it though. And this is my dulce de España plant, and it's got some really big peppers on it. I'm waiting for them to turn red so we can fry them up and eat them. And next to it is the Count Dracula pepper. I took this one outside because it started getting too big to be inside, and it seemed to be unhappy inside. It's acclimating to outside, and it's looking pretty good. And then over here, all my alpine strawberries. And they seem to be getting eaten before I can even get to them. Oh well. And over here are my onions. They're bulbing up very nicely. They've been trying to shoot up scapes, and so what I've been doing with the scapes is cutting them off and over the up here. So I want the onions to continue bulbing and growing. Hopefully they'll be ready to eat soon. They're looking pretty good. And over here is some parsley I transplanted, and it's doing pretty well. I've also got some peas in here starting, so this is a cooler part of the area, a totally different climate back here. So I'm seeing if I can grow peas back here, since typically this is a cool and shaded part of the area. And over here under the tent are my peppers, and these are mainly cherry peppers, both mild and hot. Over here is my peanut plant. This is new. I just transplanted it recently, and it's doing pretty well. And over here is ground cherry, and I also transplanted this recently. It's doing pretty well. Here are my Parisian carrots, and they're getting pretty big. Again, some of my peppers, and they're all flowering. And a couple weeks ago I gave these all some fish emulsion and some Epsom salts, and that seemed to perk them up. They're nice and strong green. The only problem is this savory here, which is a chance plant, lost all of its leaves. I don't know if it's going to recover. I keep crossing my fingers and I keep giving it special care, but so far it doesn't seem to be responding. In here is another pepper plant and some carrots, the Chantenay carrots. Chantenay, excuse me. Another pepper in here, and another pepper in here. And I keep these peppers underneath these laundry bags to keep them shaded and cool from the heat, and they seem to be responding well to these bags, so they're working out well. These bags can be found at Daiso for, I think they're $1.50 or $3 each. And these are my determinate tomatoes. So recently I removed the cherry punch tomatoes from my garden. Some more tomatoes ripened. I tasted it. They weren't even worse than the first one I tasted, so I just got rid of that altogether. And here are a few onions, and those are bulbing up now. The taxi tomatoes are coming along nicely, and I got a few little Sprite nubs over here. I removed the tent, and under the tent there's a cascabella here and a cayenne. It sort of looks like these are kind of dwarfing. I think the cascabella is supposed to be rounder. I hope they didn't mix with the cayenne. Shouldn't have, because the bees shouldn't be able to get into that tent. Here are some green onions. I've been pulling off the scapes on these. And then in the herb bed, some parsley, fennel. So these are almost ready to pick. Nice big bulbs. I've also got some strawberries. And continuing around the herb bed, I have some lettuce, leaf basil, and again, using some laundry bags to provide shade, mainly for the 2 jalapeno plants in here that are now regaining their leaves. So they were doing pretty badly out in the sun with the UV beating on them. And now that I've put these shades over them, they're growing just fine now. And over here are the basils. So I believe this one here is the Eritrean basil. Let's see. This is the Corsican basil. And this is the Aromata. And that is cinnamon basil. And then all of this over here is some oregano. And that's the blue spice basil. And then in between all of this are leeks that are growing from elephant garlics. We've been eating a few of these, and they are delicious. Up here are some flat onions. they've been growing very slowly, and I don't think they're bulbing, so I don't know. I guess we'll eat the greens eventually. And I don't think I've ever shown these before, but I have some citrus plants. So this is my Mexican lime, and it recently put out a bunch of new leaves and flowers. I don't know whether we're actually going to get any fruit to stick, but it has grown a lot in the past couple of months. Next to it is our mandarin orange tree, and it also put out a bunch of leaves, and it has some little fruit nubs. But again, I don't know whether these fruits are going to stick, but nonetheless, I'm happy to see that this plant is growing. This is an Anaheim pepper. This one has been growing for over a year now. It's died back twice and it's come back, so we'll see if it's able to produce any decent peppers the third time around. Over here are some pineapple tomatillo, and they're tiny. I'm not sure if this is growing right. It's supposed to be kind of 3 to 4 foot tall bush, but so far it's acting like ground cover. This is our pink lemonade tree, and recently it's been going through some hardship, so we had it in the container over here. That was a 17-inch pot, and it looked kind of stressed out. And after we pulled it up to see what was going on, we discovered that it was root bound. So we got it this nice big wine barrel. We transplanted it 2 or 3 days ago, and it has since got some new shoots right here. So it looks like it's acclimating well to its new home. The pak choi isn't doing so well, so it's being eaten, and it also immediately bolts. The mint's going crazy. That's all I gotta say. This one escaped. And here's our leaf lettuce, some carrots, some more carrots. These carrots should be done soon. And here's our tomatillo. And over here is another tomatillo. So now that both have flowers, hopefully we can get some tomatillos off of this one here. Over here is the eggplant bed. The meatball has eggplants on it now, and they're growing. So that's pretty exciting. And the other eggplants are coming along slowly. There's some carrots under here. Those should be ready soon. The purple rain has been fighting spider mites. So it had been inhabited by ladybugs for a while, but I guess they're done feasting. And over here, some more eggplants. The tomato hornworm has been chewing on them instead of on the tomatoes, so whatever. Here's my lemon cucumber, doing pretty well. Had to put some Epsom salts on it, trying to clean it up. Papaya dew over here. This is some kind of cucumber. Oh no, that's not a cucumber. That is a mini cantaloupe, Isabella. It doesn't look too healthy, but we'll keep it going. And this one is my crystal apple cucumber, and it's having some trouble. So got some yellowing leaves. I'm not sure what to do about this. I've been giving it some fish emulsion, as well as some Epsom salts. I may try some chelated iron next, but let me give it a few days to see if the new leaves come up better. And then those are my curry squashes, red curry, and they're doing excellently, so fruits all over. Pretty excited about this. They're supposed to be better than pumpkin, so we'll be having pie hopefully soon. Another look at the purple rain. So I've been treating this weekly with neem oil, and for the most part a lot of the leaves are returning to normal, but still have a lot of loss. So hopefully I can get this plant healthy again and it can start producing bigger fruits. Here I have some honeydew melon, And in the middle, a couple of pole beans. And over here is my lemon balm. It's doing well. So it seems to be doing more watering and also being under this tent. And over here under the shades are more of my rubber plants. They've been getting a lot more water lately, so some of them are kind of puckering here. Hopefully they'll flatten out once we get the water situation stabilized. They're looking very good. Beautiful plants. Some of these are some transplants I got from the local nursery. So, and the transplants are mostly bell peppers. And they're looking pretty good. And over here are my hotter peppers. So there's some gypsy pepper, the dragon roll, fish pepper in the middle. Fish pepper's been suffering. I'm trying my best to give it extra care so it perks up. These are Mexibel plants, so those are supposed to be hot bell peppers. Over here are some ground cherries, so I grew too many of them. So I'm just going to let them drop and see what happens. And over here are padron peppers and my kung pao. I removed the kung pao jalapeno cross. It just had some genetic problems and was producing some weird looking fruits. Those are the Brazilian starfish back here. Got a few tomatoes, so I removed the cherry punch, but what's left are a couple of fresh salsa tomato plants and a patio princess. So coming to the other side to get a better look at the patio princess. It's got some tomatoes on it. The fresh salsa. These are some soybean plants. They've taken off since I transplanted them over here from the greenhouse. Looking good. Hungarian wax right there. And the backside of the Brazilian starfish over here. Looking good. My onion bed, I allowed one of them to flower, so hopefully it'll seed. I don't care if these spread around the yard. The other ones are some, I think these are some smaller onions and they're bulbing up. I think this one here might be done, but we're not ready to eat it. There's also a leek in here, so it's looking good. Another big onion. And I've been pulling the scapes off of these onions as well to keep them from splitting and flowering. This is my Jack Little pumpkin. It's now got some female nubs on them. And it's doing pretty well. I've been spraying all of my squash plants and the cucumbers weekly with a mixture of neem oil and baking soda. So trying to keep the powdery mildew away from my plants this year. Last year they were devastated by powdery mildew. Over here is my kabocha plant and the corn that I started inside and transplanted. So I think these have been outside for about 2 weeks now and they're looking pretty good. I'm crossing my fingers that the bird doesn't come and still pick them out. Hopefully they're big enough now. And over here is my fresh pickled cucumbers. I'm not sure how they're supposed to look, but I know the leaves aren't normal here. And I've been giving them some Epsom salts to see if I can green them up. And the leaf lettuce is over here, looking good. And here are my tumbler tomatoes. So after the Lozano mishap, I planted some tumbler tomato seeds. So these are the last of my 3 seeds. Hopefully at least one of them reaches adulthood and I can finally get a tumbler tomato. And over here is my summer squash. It looks like it's dwarfing, so I might have to try that one again. And this is my spaghetti squash, looking good. And today I finished mulching my tomato beds looking good. I also planted this peppercini here. This was one that had been in the greenhouse for most of its life, recuperating. And now it looks nice and green and wonderful. Hopefully transplanting it out here doesn't kill it. It should be used to the UV since it's been in the greenhouse this whole time. And then the protective trellis above and the umbrella provided by the foliage from the tomatoes and the sunflower should provide dappled sunlight such that the plant doesn't overheat or experience too much. Over here is another jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. So this one finally got its first nub, female flower. And but there was a pepper over here. I might have buried it under the mulch. Give me a minute. Yep, I buried it under the mulch. There it is. Poor little pepper. And so everything's nicely mulched. And the grape plants are looking good on the ends here. And the in-ground pumpkin this is a sugar baby pumpkin. Or just a sugar pumpkin. I think it's just called sugar pumpkin. And it's binding away. And some in-ground eggplants, which aren't doing so well. I think they really need the shade. So, but it was nice to know that. This is, I think, the green magic or something, kind of broccoli. And it didn't do so well over here, so I'm waiting for a new batch of Sun King broccoli, which is heat tolerant and does much better in my yard. And over here is just some sacrificial greens, so the cabbage moth has been preoccupied with these and not worried about my other plants, so I'll just let them be. And then over here is some kind of berry. I've forgotten what kind. It's either a raspberry or a blueberry. And over here is my greens bed. And that's some Swiss chard. And recently we harvested all the lettuce that was growing in here. And now I've put some spinach in. We also converted this bed over to drip irrigation. And here's some red lettuce. And it's also got some new drip irrigation. And here are my okras. So they're happy in the tent. There's also a fresh salted tomato in here, and it's just been converted to drip as well. And the lasagna. Back here with some lettuce, leaf basil, and some purple ruffles, looking good. And this barrel has been converted over to drip. And we have some Casper eggplant in here. These are Casper, bell pepper, and another sweet Spanish, and the decorative sages, doing well, pineapple sage. That's the other Isabella, cantaloupe, and there's also an eggplant and a pepper and another pepper here, doing well. And the sage, the culinary sage, is blooming. It smells great. The moths are pollinating the heck out of it. And over there's a bucket full of Swiss chard and an Anaheim pepper that's coming back after being overwintered. And lastly, there's some kind of berry plant. It's either a raspberry or blueberry, I'm not sure. And underneath the tent are these two plants. So this is the lemon ahi that I took outside, and it got beat up pretty bad, both inside and outside. So I cut it back, but it's coming back nicely and doing well under the shade. This is the Xavier plant, so another one of the Chenen's plants. It lost all its leaves, but it looks like it's coming back. So some new shoots here. That's encouraging. We'll see how that goes. And that's my garden in April.